What's up guys, Shouri here, and today I'm going to explain a little bit about why this series is formed, and over time we're going to get better and do everything a little by little, and hopefully we can all get better. If you want to skip the parts where I tell you why I started the series and all that fun stuff, I'll have everything segmented so you can go down to the time bar and just choose what you want to go to. I hope you enjoy it, guys. I haven't played on a phone since they announced iPads would be legal in tournaments in August of 2020. A lot of people like to watch my videos and think I'm only good on an iPad. And since I started my channel about 3 weeks before I stopped playing phone altogether, it makes a lot of sense why people get that impression. But what a lot of people don't know is in the last season at ESL, I had some of the best stats in North America. I was actually pretty bad until a pro player named Venom helped me by playing every day with me for weeks. And he would just invite me to other groups of pro players, and because of that, I got a lot better really fast. And the only reason I'm able to be as good as I am now is because of that help Venom gave me then. I quit after ESL ended in July of 2019, and I didn't come back until the pandemic started in March of 2020. And when I got back, I started playing with people one at a time and helping as many as I could get to Hall of Fame. I ended up being able to get 6 people to Hall of Fame in about 2 months, but then I started getting way too many people asking me for help, so that's why I actually decided to start making this YouTube channel. And I was able to help a lot more people by doing tips and tricks videos and making tutorials. And even though you don't really earn money from these things, but I'll always continue to do them as long as people want to learn how to play, because it's just the easiest way to teach as many people as possible. And that's also the reason why I'm going phone. A lot of my subscribers are actually phone users, and I've been seeing in the comments a lot saying something like, it's really cool what you just did there, but this won't work for phone users. And a lot of the time, it will work on phone, but the problem is I don't remember exactly what they should do to make it work on the phone, and that's a huge problem. And I haven't played phone in over a year, guys. So I don't know what only works on iPad, and I don't even know what things you're supposed to do special on the phone to make it actually work. And sometimes I end up just saying nothing instead of telling them how to more easily do something on a phone, or do a different tactic that has the same result but is so much easier for a phone user to actually do. But these are my reasons, guys, for going phone, because I'm going to actually be able to go phone and show you step by step how I change my buttons, improve my sniping angles, and adapt to different situations that are impossible on phone. We will get started on this journey to getting better as a community, and we'll all build slowly upon one thing after another until we are all the best phone players we can be. So also guys, I found some old ESL recordings. If you want me to try to make some clips out of those and show you some of the old secrets from back in the day against some of the top players in the world, let me know. I'll go ahead and make that happen. Let's get this to 100 likes to get that video and the next video in this series. And while I was not using phone recently, this is from the last season of ESL in the summer. I was number 1 for kills plus assists to death ratio, and I was number 5 overall for kill death ratio. And that is quite a fun stat. And then this is about a year later in Clash where my team ended up tying with Elevate. But I do want to be clear, the Clash ranking system was really stupid. Elevate was much better than the team we had at the time. We just happened to get tied for God knows why. But just to be very clear, Elevate was the much better team during Clash. And for those of you who are wondering, this is the difference between my iPad. I have the smallest iPad Pro, and then I have an iPhone 12. So I very much so love my iPad. Why would it blow up? You didn't even finish my 5 at once on Torino while I was using my iPhone. And since it was all done in the first 24 hours, it's going to be in like the second or third episode of the phone series anyways. But luckily, if we wanted to watch it again now, we can go do that in my first 24 hours video of iPhone. But I guess since Torino and Torino rocketed me so much when I was getting the 5 at once on them, it must have blew my iPad up. I mean, I guess I just have to use a phone every game now, which is okay because that was the plan anyways, but whatever. But what we're doing here, guys, is we're basically just trying to get used to what the sensitivity on the phone is, because going from iPhone to iPad or vice versa is very different because the amount of surface area on the screen that your thumb needs to move to actually move right to left is much smaller on phone. So a much smaller movement on phone does much more. And so I'm basically just trying to get my bearings for what sensitivity I'm going to need to be at. And also, this is the first game I've ever played without 3D touch on a phone. So 3D touch basically means that if you had an iPhone 10 or before, you could press down with your right thumb that you like go right to left aiming with. If you pressed on the screen, it would scope in for you. And if you unpressed, then you would unscope. And so I had never had to actually scope. That's why the scope's in a terrible spot right here on the screen, but I just didn't know what to do, and it sucked a lot trying to figure all this out. Luckily, there was a brawl, and this is a weird brawl, but it's actually the best possible brawl for me because you don't really have to be able to scope at all. And I was having so much trouble scoping, and I really didn't want to scope. I just wanted to get used to aiming in any way I could, and I realized real quick that I was going to need to change my buttons around like really badly. But the thing is, I was actually able to get a ton of kills, and I was able to no scope with the Odin pretty well, and I was able to get down the actual way easier than I thought I was going to. And that helped me a lot because that made it so much easier at the end of this game to just decide, you know what, I'm going to go straight up and get the settings changed around and try to go ahead and figure out where to put this scope button, because some of you will notice that on my iPad I have the scope button on the right side and then I have my knife button on the left side. That way I can play claw. Well, I figured out real quick that I'm going to need to take that scope button where it was over there and put it onto the left side. And since it's on the right side for my iPad, that means I have zero muscle memory for this, and it made it so hard to get used to, but it was definitely the right decision overall. Another thing, and this is for all iOS users, iPad and iPhone, something called guided access is very important. So we don't actually have like home buttons, and so in order to get like home, for a lack of better words, or to get out of an app, we have this little thing. It's a white bar at the bottom, and the problem with that is, in order to make it activate, you gotta touch it. And then if you touch it, it's like, oh, did you mean to touch me? And if you did, then you'll swipe it up, and then it'll let you get out of God's boom. The problem is when you don't mean to touch it, and then it'll like light up white, and then it'll actually freeze the game, waiting for you to swipe up. And so every time you hit that, like, and the problem is the only time it ever really happens is if you're in like a intense situation and you kind of like tighten your grip, then it'll actually hit that little white bar. And so the only time it ever happens if you're like going in for a knife, or if you're going in and like you're like having a really tough shotgun fight, or like if you're having like a really tough sniper battle, it's like, oh, by the way, you're gonna just freeze your screen. It's like, no, don't do that. But luckily now there's something called guided access, where if you hit this thing and like the shortcut is to hit the like thing that's the lock screen 3 times, and then it'll cut off all the buttons, like, and it also won't let you swipe up or down on the screen, like to try to see the time or like do a recording or anything. And it's really bad in something like COD Mobile as well. But it really only affects iPad Pros and the newer iPhones, and it didn't affect them like at all. And then all of a sudden, it got really bad whenever they did one update, like not that long ago, like a few months ago. It's stupid. But the good news is that Guided Access fixed that. So the best news in the world is that we're actually getting used to our scope a little bit. We're mostly just no scoping right now because, again, all I really want to do in these games is get used to the sensitivity. That's why I'm like going in circles right here. On my iPad, that would have 100% killed them, and I don't want to overshoot it. And so I'm just getting used to basically what it takes to do everything. Like if I go left an inch, does it go all the way, or does it just go half the way of the screen? And so just knowing these little things is super important, and that's all I'm really trying to do. And honestly, I set aside 10 games to do this, and it happened in so few games, guys. And honestly, I probably should have done a little bit more. But the biggest thing is that I want you guys to understand is the way that we're doing this series is we're going to basically try to add one important thing to our gameplay every single video. And for this video, what we got was we moved our knife to also be next to our aimer. And that's going to both be in the top left. And that way we have one finger controlling our heel and our grenade, and I made it to where it was up in the top right corner where I can do that with my right index finger, and then I made it to where I can scope and knife with my left index finger. And I'm going to show you guys in the next video exactly how I'm going to hold everything, and I'm figuring out how to set up a hand cam that I can show you guys a few different configurations for your hands. That way people who have like arthritis like I do, you're going to be able to play, because I can't play on phone with double claw for very long because my knuckles will swell up and it gets real painful. So I only can play one claw at a time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. Like I said, I will have it in the next video how you can play with just thumbs, how you can play with index fingers and thumbs, and how if you're like me and you have really hard times with your fingers hurting because of the game, you can basically do a hybrid claw, which I mean, I'll just have to explain it to you when the next video happens. And I'm going to show you guys all different ways that you can do stuff. And this one here, I know that it looks bad because I have no kills, but now I have a kill, so it's fine. But remember, this is my third game on phone. This is the second game that I've had a scope button on the left side, and it's the only game I've had a sniper. And I thought that I was going to be able to do an instant shot sniper the easiest. I was very wrong on that, by the way. Kuda and crossbow are much easier than the Quicksilver on phone. But back in the day, I was playing like tournaments at the highest level with Quicksilver with aim off, and I just thought that that was going to happen again. And oh boy, did that not happen again. It went very bad very quickly. But the good news is that after this game, I go with I think a Kuda, and I find my love. So one huge mistake I made that you guys cannot repeat is I went from 40 sensitivity to 35 because I realized very quickly I made a mistake with this instant shot sniper. And then, of course, the first real match I play happens to be against a team of four who's going to use iPads to defend on the worst map in the world for a phone user. So, like, all of this was bad. And just so you guys know, if I'm ever playing this and I am going to be the attacker and they're defending and I'm on a phone and I'm fairly certain they're sniping with iPads, I'm leaving before the game even starts. That way my teammates can get another teammate. Like, screw all of that. Like, that is so unfair to phone users. That's one thing I already knew. And, like, it's super obvious. Like, head glitches, like that bridge when you're in the spawn on your fall. That's one of the worst head glitches for a phone user. And there's a lot of ways to get around head glitches on a lot of these maps, but you cannot get out of the way of someone using a head glitch on your fall while attacking. Sorry, it just doesn't work out. But the good news is, guys, this is the fourth game I played on a phone, and I am using a basically like a sniper that's like kind of traditional, like it has a little spinny wheel. And from the start, I figured out like that little spinny wheel gives me so much more ability to like kind of have some mistakes and really get a feel for what the sensitivity is and exactly what movement I'm gonna make and what's that's going to translate to on the screen. And that's super big and super important that people don't realize is if you can make a conscious effort to see how much you need to be able to go from the guy that's like right in front of you to a guy that's directly 90 degrees to your right, and exactly what that takes. And you can start to practice that enough that once like someone sneaks up to the right of you or behind you, you can actually just flick a shot right over to them, just like I did right there. And this is literally the fourth game total, and only the second one that actually had like sniper scopes. And this is the first one that has like the little spinny wheel. And I have team of fours in every single game I played, which was just like a travesty. But the good news is, it gave me so much hope and optimism that this right here, my like second classic mode game, I'm actually doing pretty good against a team of four. And I'm really happy with the way things went pretty much immediately. I have a video out that my first 24 hours where I have a ton of multi kills against really good people too. I'll leave that link in the description. And guys, I just want to show you a little bit of the stuff we got. We have already like 12 episodes that are 10 to 20 minutes long already made. Just need to have the voiceovers done to them. And then we have so many crazy good videos ready. Last breath. We have some pro play brawl. We have instant shot snipers. We have rushing. We have squads. We have solo versus squads. We have god games. We have literally everything you could ever want. And this is on top of those 13 episodes, guys. This is also 5 4 at once games. And one very important thing, make sure you go subscribe to Tuzak. He's been streaming nearly every day, and he definitely deserves a sub. And I'll have a link in the description so you can go to it easy. And this is going to be the last one that's really erratic like this, guys. The rest of them are going to be a little bit more like formatted, and they're all going to end with the funny saying Dragon Ball Z style. And then I'm going to show you a sneak peek from the best part of the next episode. Or I'm going to show you something that's kind of cliffhangery that's going to make you be like, wait, what's he talking about? Who's he talking to? Ooh, I want to know about that. Like this one. Next time on iPad Noob Plays on iPhone.